This week, we are going to be learning about lists, which include ordered lists and unordered lists. Ordered lists are numeric, unordered lists are bulleted. We are also going to learn how to create tables. And along with that, we are going to talk about CSS borders because borders are typically used with tables and lists. We do have some web-based readings for you. You're going to want to go through those first and then go through the list and tables lecture demo. So in the lecture demo, basically we go through what an ordered list is, what the code looks like, the type attribute, which actually lets you change the style of the numbers. Okay. And then there's a link to an interactive site where you can kind of play around with it. And then there's actually a couple different ways you can change the way that the numbers look. One is through the type attribute, and then there's another one through a style. So you have to say style equals and use the inline style attribute, but it's list style type. And that will also change the type of ordered list. And then I have a link to that as well. For unordered lists or bulleted lists, show you some examples, show you some code. And to change these, you do have to use the inline style, list style type. And so these are the different types of unordered lists that you can create. And again, a link so you can practice. The third type of list you're probably not very familiar with. It's a description list. And so you can see it's kind of for definitions. So you have a term, a data term, and then you have a data definition. And then there's an opening description list and a closing description list tag. Then we get into how to nest the lists, and then the different CSS border commands that we can use to enhance the way the list looks. And then finally, we get into graphical tables. For the textbook assignment, there are some files you're going to download. And you'll be modifying these 3 files. Along with the files, you need to download some graphics, and there's also an external CSS file. So you are going to be creating a lesson 5 folder, and then inside that folder, you need a media and a CSS folder. Then for each of these tasks, there is a video that kind of walks you through what you need to do. But you are going to be working with a lemon crumb cake recipe. And this is an actual real recipe. You could actually make this if working with it makes you hungry. That particular page has an external style sheet that you're also going to be changing. And then in the task 4, there is some data in that table or in that page that would look better in a table. So you're going to put the data into a table with a couple borders. Okay, and then you'll be done with the recipe. Then you'll move on to the Hitchcock page, which basically is going to have you create a table. And then you're going to be merging rows. Okay, you'll also be adding some CSS to that. And then finally, you're going to do a news column page. So you'll be splitting an existing page into news columns. Once you finish the textbook assignment, then you can move on to the lab assignment. And there's a couple different parts to the lab assignment. You are going to be able to create, whatever you want as far as the topic. But you do need to adhere to to NMC's Title IX and Student Code of Conduct. So I did include links to those if you're not familiar with them. Your pages that you create cannot violate these. But as far as the content goes, it is up to you. I'm looking for the minimum requirements. So in the first page, you need to have at least one ordered list, one unordered list, and a table. So you need a numbered list, a bulleted list, and a table. And it doesn't matter to me what you create the page on. You also need to do some styling. Now, this is an example, of some styling you could add, but this is not the required styling. You're going to be creating your page, so you got to figure out how to style it. I did create an example of a resume that meets the requirements, and you can see I've got bulleted and numbered lists. Okay, and I believe at the top here to align this, I used a table. So if we right click and go into view page source, you can see the CSS that I used. And then here's my table. Okay, and then you can see the ordered and the unordered lists. So you have this example to look at, but you also have the lemon crumb cake, because that also incorporates all of the requirements that you need for this particular assignment. The second part is creating a page that uses a news column format. So we have the page from the textbook assignment that you can look at, but I did wanted to give you another option. So for this example, I took a poem and I actually cited it here because I did not write this poem. Edgar Allan Poe did. So I put the citation in, and you can see that I put a raven in the background. So you guys do know how to put a background graphic in. What I did with the raven is I went into Lunapic and I added some opacity to it so that it was a little transparent. Okay, but if you're curious how I did all of this, again, you can go into view page source and take a look. It's not a whole lot of CSS in this. The third part of the assignment is going to be adding bullets in front of the different exercises. So right now, these are in paragraphs. And there is actually a way to do a find and replace in VS Code that will make this a little bit easier for you. And so this describes how to use the find and replace so that you can actually make this change. Now, keep in mind that you are going to have to manually add the unordered list, the OL tag, and the closing OL tag. Okay, but at least this command will convert these paragraphs and closing paragraphs to LI tags. Okay, so that is pretty much the assignment. You're going to make sure you update your links for the lesson 5 exercises and then get everything transferred to the web. Okay, and again, the CSS that you use does not have to be exactly what I have. As you saw in my example for the resume, I actually had a lot more CSS than this. So you may have more, you may have less, but the page does need to look good. Now, once you're done with these assignments, you're going to put done in the drop boxes. Make sure you get them all transferred. And then under resources, I do have a link for the tutoring. And in VS Code, there are a lot of extensions that make VS Code more pleasant to use. So I did include some links that you can take a look at. There's a video and Here are some of the more popular extensions that you can add in addition to color, code formatter, themes, and a link to the marketplace itself. Okay. And if I open up my VS Code, I actually use this for a work project. So let me close my Python stuff here. But if you look under extensions, okay, you can see what I have installed. So color info, color picker, IntelliCode, live server, prettier, a bunch of Python ones, but HTML and CSS support. I've got a theme. So you can pretty much tell what you have installed, and then based on what you're using, they will sometimes recommend different extensions that you can try out, and you can just click on them and kind of read about them. Right now, if you have extensions that you're using or that you found that you really like, feel free to share those in the discussion. Okay? Share them with your classmates because you guys may have found something that's super cool, that's new, that I don't even know about yet. Okay? So feel free to share. If you do run into any problems this week, or if you have questions, please let me know, and have an awesome week.